Daiane struggled with acid reflux her whole life from the time she was a small child. And then at 19, developed PCOS and went another 10 plus years with doctors merely treating the symptoms until she finally met a doctor who said, we can address the root cause and we're going to do it with your diet. Join me as I talk to Daiane about what she did to reverse her PCOS, acid reflux, and other food allergies on this week's episode of Hunger Hunt Feast. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Hunger Hunt Feast. With me is Daiane Placido Torres. Daiane, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Daiane first of all, she's a PhD in chemistry. So you're going to love what she shares, but she can back up what she's saying while understanding how our bodies work and chemistry in general, biochemistry. But she has an incredible story. We met in Costa Rica at Paul Saladino's retreat, essentially called the Remembering. And she had such an incredible story. I had to have her on the podcast to share it. It's just, I think you're going to enjoy it. Dan, again, thank you for coming on and being willing to share this. I was kind of floored by everything you've been through since as a child, really. So I'm going to let you just go in and tell us from the beginning. You start out with some very difficult, some issues with food, really, right out of from a young child, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So basically, I had food issues since I was born, because you get many things from the mother's milk.
Right.
So I was having very severe reflux since I was born, since I was a newborn. And that persisted for very severely since I was born until I was 3. I would vomit. I would be vomiting like all day,
Wow.
usually after I was breastfed, and even through the nose. This really, really tough because you have to be under surveillance all the time because you can suffocate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really dangerous. But when I was 3, that stopped. So I stopped vomiting like all the time. But during my whole life, I would have sore throat, like every month, really, really very often. And I thought, I was just someone who had lots of sore throat all the time. And I was almost 30 when I had a very severe sinusitis infection. And I had like really a headache. So all my face was hurting, my ears all messed up. Then I went to this physician who deals with respiratory problems. And I told him, yeah, I have, so my nose, my ears is all messed up. I have very strong sore throat. And then he would examine me and told me, I don't see anything on your throat. And I was like, wow, it's hurting so bad. How can he not see anything? So then I took a course of anti-inflammatory and antibiotics. And 10 days later, I got back there and I told him, yeah, it's all clear. So my nose is fine, my ear is fine, but I'm still having the sore throat. And then he told me, yeah, you cannot have a sore throat after this course of medication. So this is reflux. So basically, he was the physician who who gave me the diagnosis of the reflux that I had my whole life, because my whole life I was having this throat soaring all the time.
Right.
And well, so but he just gave me the diagnosis. So I was still not knowing what to do with it. So I was still having very rarely stomach ache. That's what people usually associate with reflux. But I was doing nothing about it. So he did not tell me about food that could trigger it, nothing. So I just knew that my whole life I was never recovered basically from the reflux. And also in parallel with this journey of sore throat, I also had allergies,
Mm,
usually on the skin, my whole life. And I would also have allergy to earrings, like these common cheap ones. So I would not wear it. Silver I can wear. And then I was almost 20 when I found out that it was because of nickel. So
mm,
earrings that had nickel also would trigger me. So
right.
I found out it was an allergy to nickel. And yeah, and then also when I was around 20, I was having like months and months without my period, up to 5 months, and lots of acne on my face.
Mm,
And then I went to the gynecologist, so I had another diagnosis. So yeah, I have PCOS. So here, take these contraceptive pills. So I was
right.
taking them a couple of years ago. And so basically, no one was really, none of these physicians were really touching the root cause of my problems. They were just giving me band-aids, so that I
Right.
could deal more or less with the symptoms. But yeah, it was very unsuccessful. So I
Now,
was very
I forgot to ask, mention this about you, that something I don't know why, but you live in Brazil, right? You've grown up in
I
Brazil.
live in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a city area, correct? I mean, you're not out in the middle of,
Yeah, yeah. So when I found out I had PCOS, I was already in the university. So it's a big university, a federal university. So
right.
it was not in the middle of nowhere. So
Right.
in
So you
Brazil,
had
there is, yeah.
current
So we have
medicine, current
five.
doctors. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So and still, and even when I lived in Scotland, I was there because in Scotland you cannot buy contraceptive pills on your own. You cannot go to a pharmacy and buy a contraceptive pill. You have to have
Prescription.
a prescriptions, yeah,
Yeah.
doctor's prescription. And and then I needed to have an appointment, and I told this physician that I had PCOS, and he told me nothing. So I told him, yeah, I use this X contraceptive, and he prescribed me for a whole year because I would stay a whole year in Scotland. So I had like 12 boxes with me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so he told me about so the risk of I don't know the name in English, but you can have these clogs of blood basically.
Sure.
Yeah, so he told me that the contraceptive I was taking would put me on a higher risk to that, but that was it. So I was never really treating the cause of the PCOS,
Right.
which now we know very well that is pre-diabetes. So you are already becoming insulin resistant if you
Correct.
are
Yeah.
if you have PCOS. Yeah,
So how long
and
ago was that you got that diagnosis?
I was 19 years old.
Oh, when you were 19, 20. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And being treated over the course of several years, still no one figured that out.
No, no. I was taking contraceptive for 13 years
Oh my
plus.
gosh.
Yeah. So I was, yeah, more than a decade. And
Wow.
it was awful, because I was still getting diabetes, more and more insulin resistant doing the
Right.
treatment because I was not treating the cause of it. And I had like I was having symptoms of hypothyroidism, very common when
Mm-hmm.
you
Low
use
thyroid. Yeah.
contraceptive for that long. And yeah, I was tired all the time and very strong PMS. It
Mm-hmm.
was really, really tough. Yeah, I was living like a pretty miserable life until
Mm-hmm.
then. And it was like almost 4 years ago that I finally found a physician in the city I was living for a few years. And then he would know about low carb and carnivore diets, and how to deal with PCOS and
Mm.
diabetes, and how to put all that into remission. So I was lucky enough, and surprisingly, it was an indication of my gynecologist for this other physician
Wow.
who knew about low carb diets,
Hmm.
and so how to change our lifestyle to put these metabolic conditions into remission.
Now, and you were doing some intermittent fasting with that as well, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Then this physician Marcel recommended that I would do some intermittent fasting, very mild, like 16, 8 hours. So
Right.
lunch and dinner,
Yeah.
and I could have some carbs, good carbs like fruit or roots for dinner, not for lunch.
Roots, so like
And
sweet potatoes or carrots or something like that.
yeah, yeah, not
Tubers.
potatoes, not tubers, yeah, not potatoes, yeah. So sweet potatoes or yams,
Yeah.
very common in Brazil, like cassava, maybe cassava
Okay.
is also the name, yeah.
So just to clarify, you were eating a lunch and dinner,
Yeah,
mostly meat and some vegetables, maybe?
yeah, yeah. I would eat vegetables by then. Nowadays I don't eat much, but
Okay.
and
So meat and
some
vegetables
salad.
with a little bit of like managed, so you kind of control the amount of fruit or roots or tubers that
Yeah,
you would
yeah,
eat. But most of your diet was meat and vegetables, and it was just 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you'd
yeah.
fast until from dinner, end of dinner until lunch the next day.
Perfect.
That's yeah, that's awesome.
Easy. That was easy actually. When he proposed that I do that, I was
It's a
a
lot
bit
easier than what you
scared.
were going through, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was okay because I was hungry all the time. You know,
Right.
when
From the
I
insulin.
had PCOS, because if you are getting diabetes, you are hungry all the time because your insulin levels are high, and if your insulin levels are high, you are hungry.
Right.
But if you don't eat, if you wake up and don't eat, then your hunger doesn't grow up, doesn't
Right.
increase much. So it basically is stable or decreases. Yeah. So it was very easy to manage. I was basically not feeling hungry at all. And what's most amazing to me is that in 3 weeks I was getting my period. So 3 weeks,
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah, it was
Wow.
amazing. And I would go 5 months without my period,
Right.
and in 3 weeks, basically I was eating quite clear, quite clean by then when I found Marcelo, this physician. But I was eating too often, and it was pretty low carb already, but I really needed the fasting. I really, really needed to fast. So the cells needed to some time to get rid of this excess of glucose, basically. And
Mhm.
it was super, super surprising. I was not even realizing, this, wow, am I getting my period already? It's 3 weeks, And of course, he made me stop the contraceptive. So it
Mhm.
was, I was taking other supplements, so he told me to stop everything. And yeah, and in 6 weeks I redid the blood markers, the blood
Mhm.
test, and my inflammation dropped from almost 10 to 1.
Oh wow.
Is C-reactive protein,
C-reactive protein. Oh wow.
it's unbelievable. Yeah.
So lowered
Amazing.
insulin, probably lower cortisol levels, which brought your inflammation down as well. And
Yeah.
because both of those are very inflammatory, and just general less inflammation in your whole body. So you just, yeah, less hunger. So
Yeah.
um, your hormones adjusted that quickly within 3 weeks.
I mean, it's amazing. When you do the right things, the body is like, it's a healing machine. It's
Yes, we have to
just
get out of the
waiting
way,
for
don't
the
we?
right, yeah, just waiting for the right commands, and then it does everything by its own. You just need to get out of the way. It
Right.
does everything on its own. It was really amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. So it's been steady ever since, like no more recurrence of the PCOS or anything like that.
No, this is almost 4 years that I can say that I cure it. Doctors don't really like this term,
I
but
know.
mostly I guess for diabetes or things like that. But for PCOS, I think you can really say that you are cured,
Oh yeah.
because yeah, I get my I mean, nowadays I can really recognize the phases,
Sure.
that the women goes through the months.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now I am, so I don't take any hormones or nothing. So I really recognize all the phases and even the strengths. If I'm doing some training, I can see that I'm stronger in some parts of the month, other parts
Right.
I don't really want to go that strong. So I feel
Mhm.
like more, yeah, doing some lighter
Right.
exercise, things like that. But yes, then like if I do some longer fasts that I do sometimes, only if I am in the mood, I don't
Mhm.
force. Sometimes I do like 2 or 3 days fast, and if
Excellent.
I do that, then I get my period a little bit late
Sure.
sometimes, because then you send a message that there is no abundance, so you don't have much food, so it's not a good idea to ovulate and
Right.
procreate. So
Right.
but it's really tuned, with the information around. So is there enough food, is there enough carb? And then, but usually it's like 20 something days, 28, sometimes 30 days, and I get my period.
That's
It's
amazing.
really like a clock.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
And you have your body on. I mean, you're eating on a schedule. You're not putting in food that's getting in the way. Essentially, you're not.
No.
So,
Yeah, I basically never cheat. I do some carbs now. Well, since Costa Rica, I'm eating lots of carbs. So I was eating these platanos and really nice. So
yes, me
I
too.
was eating them.
And all the fruit. Yeah, all
Yeah,
the
mangoes I
and
ate
the
as well.
and the grilled pineapple. That was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat pineapples because they are high in nickel.
Oh, the
So
nickel. That's right. Okay. So you
yeah,
still
so
have some food allergies. The nickel's still here. You have some other food allergies.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Now you mentioned one time you had kind of a skin breakout recently, or
Yeah, in Costa
revealed a
Rica.
celiac.
Yeah, that was because of cross contamination with gluten.
You're what?
Cross contamination with gluten,
Oh,
the wheat
okay.
protein. Yeah.
Cross contamination with gluten. So what were you eating?
Nothing with gluten, but just the gluten on the kitchen, on the surfaces, on the plates, fork. So this
Okay.
is already too much, so I already react to it. Usually I cook everything that I eat. So in my house, and when I travel, I take some skillet with me and plate, and that I don't need to eat that much in restaurants, because there is always gluten around, unless the kitchen don't deal with any wheat whatsoever. Then it's basically a gluten-free area. But
So you've diagnosed celiac. Is that what I'm hearing? You have actual
yeah,
celiac.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was 3 years ago. So I was already over the PCOS and all the metabolic stuff. Then, well, I was traveling and was a little bit stressed out. And stress is like something that already makes your gut lining more fragile.
Right.
So I ate some fried fish. This was in the north of Brazil. It's a region with lots of seafood, and probably it was seed oil,
Mm.
and the cooker would do a layer of wheat on the fish. So I
Oh,
asked her not to do that, because by then I had already realized I was intolerant to wheat, and
okay.
that was what was triggering my reflux and the allergies.
Oh,
And then, but she fried my fish in the same oil, with the gluten from the other fish.
Okay.
So I started having the hives,
Okay.
and this persisted for 3 months. Then I was doing some
From one
blood
meal, 3 months
from
of hives. Wow.
yeah. The thing is, things that usually don't trigger the hive can make it perpetuate, you know.
Uh-huh.
So by then I was already not feeling so great with dairy, and I was still eating some nightshades because by then, like 2018, I was not aware of nightshades, and I would do some nuts eventually. So nowadays I don't do any of this stuff. I never ever eat any nightshades or nuts or peanut or grains. Dairy I stopped basically, yeah, because
Very
I
too.
tried to reintroduce many times and this was not successful at all.
Hmm.
And then I by after these 3 months of hives that were not going away, my physician told me, yeah, maybe you should go on a carnivore diet
Try
because
carnivore. Yeah.
we did not know by then what was triggering it. So we basically would, if you start a carnivore, you will lower all the allergens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an elimination diet, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect for that. Yeah, and it worked perfectly. I did it for 2 months straight, and so my inflammatory markers went down. I was also measuring this anti-nuclear factor. Is a
I'm
marker
sorry,
of,
one more time. What was it? The what factor?
I think is ANF, anti-nuclear factor. This
Oh,
is when your cells are producing antibodies against its own parts, you
the
know. So
autoimmune. Okay.
yeah, it's
Protocol. Okay.
it's a general marker for autoimmune. It's not specific. You cannot tell which autoimmune disease you are developing, but you are basically already having leaky gut. So this is because you are suffering from leaky gut already, not so mild, you know, because the cells are already having some attack on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not fun. But I also had positive markers for the specific gluten components, you know, because you can measure a few of them, like, I don't know the names in English, but
What's that?
yeah, anti-transglutaminase, maybe.
Okay.
So those are gluten related. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
yeah,
no gluten, no dairy, no nuts, no
no,
eggs.
I don't react so well to eggs.
Okay.
I'm still trying to keep at least the egg yolks. That's basically not allergenic,
Right.
but yeah,
Whites tend to have a histamine response, create a histamine response in a lot of people
yeah,
who are food sensitive. Yeah, with food sensitivities, they create a histamine response. So that would definitely come out in your skin and sinuses and all those kind of things. So,
yeah.
okay. Green. So are you eating some, no grains, obviously, some vegetables still, or no, not so much?
Yeah, the fruit ones, not just the sweet fruits, you know, but like cucumber is a fruit, so I
Right.
eat cucumber. Olives I eat every now and then. I eat zucchini, no skin, no seeds. I just eat the
The
fruit
meat.
part, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm so easily triggered, you know. I also don't see the point of inserting these seeds and risk more reactions, you know, because
Right.
now I'm very reactive to so many things. This is very common when you become celiac, you come with a package, a little bit of dysbiosis usually, and FODMAPs. I'm usually sensitive to FODMAPs. So like I really love avocado, but I cannot do it because I don't feel so well when I eat avocado, even
Mm,
though it's very nice fruit.
right.
And yeah, I really like low carb, you know, but since now I'm very restricted in what I can eat because it's low FODMAPs, low nickel,
Right.
no grains, no most of foods. So I'm eating some carbs as well, and bananas are pretty safe. I also eat pears. Mango, it's risky, so I cannot eat much. But I
Okay.
think they have some mangoes have some fiber that are not
Mhm.
so great. Are more in the FODMAP
Okay.
family. You know.
So probably no seafood, huh? Because of the metals.
No tuna and no shrimps.
Okay.
But the other fishes I
Okay.
can eat.
Okay.
Tuna and shrimps are high in nickel. So
Okay.
basically that's why I don't eat them. And that was also something that I incorporate in my food selection very recently because I was not aware that so many foods had that high level of nickel, you know. And this was really triggering me, lots of allergies, but I was feeling itchy, like my whole body, and I was having no clue what was causing it. I thought I was already getting another autoimmune disease, you know, and
Mm,
it was because of nickel. So
wow.
I was somehow glad to find this out because it really made a difference. And after I started my low nickel diet, so together with these other low things that I already do in my diet, low FODMAPs, no grains, and all these exclusions,
Hmm.
really made a difference. I am way more energetic. Like one week after I started the low nickel diet, I could already feel way more energetic, and I could even walk faster because I like to walk every day, 1 or 2 hours, and I could walk, I don't know, 1 or 2 kilometers more
Huh.
in the same time. That was really impressive.
Wow. So overall, whole energy level feels better. No allergic
Yeah,
rashes on the skin.
yeah,
Wow. So you mostly ate meat, a little bit of veggie, a little bit of certain fruit, and
yeah,
that's simple. That's simple. And are you still 2 meals a day with intermittent fasting?
yeah. Usually 2 meals a day. I was eating OMAD. So I could eat once a day and I was good. So I usually never have dinner. Sometimes I have breakfast. Sometimes I have like a brunch and
Oh,
then I'm good for the day.
oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
very
that's incredible.
practical.
Well, that's incredible. What a shift from before when you were eating 5 meals a day or eating often
Yeah, yeah,
with the PCOS because your insulin levels were so high. And now that your insulin levels are corrected, you're comfortable eating one well structured meal,
yeah,
and the rest of the time your body's burning fat effectively for your energy. You have more energy because you've gotten rid of the toxins that were
yeah,
or allergies that were triggering
yeah.
reactions and inflammation in your body. So now your body's burning fat very fast. I mean, when you have a chemistry, obviously an extensive chemistry uh, education from your bachelor's degree all the way to master's of science, doctorate in chemistry. So you look back and go, this makes sense, or is there something that, or as you say, something missing in the education where we're not looking at what?
Yeah, well, chemistry is really a broad
Sure,
scenario, you know. So I needed to study study this particular niche. So
sure,
after I finally reached Marcelo, my physician, then I really started studying hard this stuff because I basically from my chemistry education I knew what micronutrients were, and this is fat, this
right,
hormones, this is protein. Proteins are building blocks,
right,
carbohydrates, you know, all the mighty energy.
right.
That we,
Mitochondria, yes,
yeah, now we know that's not super correct.
right,
And then like what mostly catch my attention now is is the elephants in the room, you know. How could we be so naive to think that seed oils, something very, very heavily manufactured, can be better than butter? You know, that's
Right.
basically for free from milk. If you have a cow and you milk the cow, butter is there for free. So
Right.
how can these like nature's fat be worse than another fat that you need an entire structure and solvent and pressure and many machines to extract
Right.
this fat? This is absurd, you know. And yeah, so nowadays I focus more on this stuff. And actually, I think this is way, way worse than any carb from nature, you know.
Mm,
Even pure sugar. I mean, we can tolerate pure sugar, small amounts every day. But
right.
these oils is like if you eat 1 gram is already too much because it's so artificial. Something that you cannot find in nature, something that oxidized and
Right.
with this amount of toxins and reactive oxygen species, this is a Frankenstein. You know,
Right.
we
Right.
should not even walk next to it. This is too toxic.
Right. So you're talking about the soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, all these things we've been told to use since the 70s
Yeah,
for in place of animal fat, right? In place of butter,
yeah,
in place of even coconut oil, which is much more natural and saturated and stable. But these oils that oxidize very easily and they cause free radicals essentially in our body, kind of creating age and inflammation. So you think a lot of the inflammation you were dealing with could have also come from those oils, just cooking and some.
yeah, yeah. I was pretty afraid of oils, you know,
Mhm.
before my low carb journey. So I would use tiny amounts of olive oil by then and coconut oil. I was
Mhm.
using it a little, but I was pretty much quite afraid of oils. I usually never ate any fried foods. You know,
Okay.
these I would avoid already since ages, since always.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So you had
but
clued in on that very early on. You had been very aware that those things just cannot, they're not natural. They cannot be good for us. Very early
yeah,
on in your journey.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also of course, it's very common in Brazil that you eat in restaurants during, I don't know, your studies.
Right.
So almost half my life I was eating in restaurants, and even in tiny amounts, these oils are quite inflammatory. So I think
Yes.
that was one of the causes. And another one is that I was already sensitive to dairy and I was eating dairy. So also very sensitive to grains, and I was eating grains all the time because in Brazil it's really common to have rice and beans
Mm-hmm.
as as main course, you know, for lunch at least. And I was eating bread also for breakfast. So I was eating lots of inflammatory foods. It was not only the oils.
Mm.
So I guess that did not help me at all. And also my insulin levels, fasting levels were not that high, you know, even when I was pre-diabetic with PCOS, it was 5.
Oh,
Well, it
wow.
was higher than that, 5.4 or something.
Yeah. That's
But
healthier still than most US citizens,
yeah,
actually at
and,
5.
and that,
You're, you'd be,
and
you'd
that's
be
the thing, you
pristine
know.
and healthy in the US at 5.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But the postprandial levels, they
mhm.
tell the truth, you know, because these go wild way before your fasting levels. So I measured it 2 hours after lunch, and
Mhm.
this was quite high. This was almost 30, 28, I think.
Oh,
And it's already a problem if it's higher than 22. So you are insulin resistant if it's higher than 22 after you eat. So 2 hours after you
hmm.
eat. And yeah, so then after the 6 weeks that I repeated the markers, the blood markers, it dropped to 11, 2 hours after lunch. So my postprandial levels were 28 and dropped to 11.
Oh, that's amazing.
And the fasting level, yeah, the fasting level, I think it was pretty much the same, 5 something. But and that's the thing. I was already basically diabetic when I found this physician, this great physician that I was lucky to find. And yeah, uh, so it basically the fasting levels were pretty stable, and then the postprandial levels were really the biggest difference. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, and then you've just had all the the clearing of the skin and and the energy improvement. And I mean, I guess people would probably think, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could give up all of those foods and just eat primarily meat once or twice a day with a few plant foods here and there. If the pain you left behind is worth simplifying your diet.
Oh, no, yeah. When I started my low carb journey, it was already quite significant, my increase of energy. It was something very noticeable. I was always feeling way more energetic, sleeping less, By then I was having dinner. Nowadays, I really prefer to have like a very early dinner before sunset or no dinner at all. Usually I don't eat anything for dinner. But by then I usually would have dinner after 6 or between 6 and 8 in the evening. But I was doing like many things until near to midnight. And I would go to bed and 5 something, I was already waking up, no alarm, because I rested already, So this was something really, really nice as well. And that was the reason basically why I adopted it as a lifestyle, because it was so practical. You basically wake up, so you don't have to worry about breakfast. You just go outside and work and live, and then you stop and have lunch, and then again you don't eat a bunch of carbs, so you are basically energetic after lunch. So
Right.
you work again, you work out, then you have some dinner, and yeah, you shower and I don't know, catch up on Instagram, and then
Right.
you go to bed. It's a very functional life. So you don't have to worry about preparing many meals a day or things like
Right.
that.
Well, and you don't miss it. You're not hungry. I mean, that's the thing. And I think a lot of people don't understand because they're so used to eating several times a day and it's stimulating their hunger. They don't understand that you just don't miss it. But in addition, besides just hunger, everything that you went through from the time you were 2 or 3 years old, or nursing, spitting things up, and then the sore throats and I mean, you've let go of a lot more pain than your diet withholds from you, than you're depriving of yourself in your diet. You're depriving yourself of pain of anything with your diet. You're just saying, I don't want any more sickness.
Yeah.
And so you're healthier than ever now, eating primarily meat, animal foods, and a little bit of certain plants that don't irritate you.
Yeah. I also really like organs. So I'm lucky enough to like organs. So when I was child, I usually ate liver, so bovine liver. But my mom would not do it often. But it was something I enjoyed because this was already some indication that I needed more iron in my diet, because I really liked it. And I was a little bit anemic when I was a child, so I liked it.
Gotcha.
It was a shame that we did not have it more often for lunch. And I basically eat any organ that I can find. It's not so easy to find a bunch.
Right.
variety of organs, but I eat tongue and of course liver, chicken liver. I really like for pate.
What was
And
the
I
last
just
one?
pate.
Oh, pate. Oh, I love pate. Yes.
Oh, it's super quick. I just cook the chicken liver and come with the hand mixer and the pate is done.
Oh, chicken liver pate.
Super, yeah, super easy. I also find sometimes kidney, so I eat
Kidney.
kidney. It's not my favorite, but I like it.
Do you get some heart? Are you able to get heart there?
Heart, bovine heart and chicken heart is very easy to find as well. So I eat them. And yeah, and all kinds of meat. So I eat all animals. Maybe I should favor ruminants for a while, to speed up my recovery. But I like pork. I like pork as well.
Sure.
And sometimes I eat chicken. I like chicken feet for bone broth.
Oh.
So bone broth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also something I really like because it's really great for gut recovery. So it's
gut
really
recovery.
Like healing product, for the gut.
Skin too, I think, also for the skin. So the organs, I mean, people not realize that if they're listening, if they're not, they haven't done the research on that, very nutrient dense. So the organs have far more nutrients than the meat. Like they're superfoods, essentially, especially liver and heart, kidney as well. I mean, they are superfood. In other words, micronutrient. It's not just proteins, fats, but like vitamin A, iron, B vitamins. They're rich in B vitamins, some vitamin D, lots of minerals, because that, especially the liver, has to deliver nutrients through cholesterol all over the body, right? It creates fats. Delivers the fat soluble nutrients. So yeah, you say organs. Some people kind of wonder, why would you do that? And they are basically full of the nutrients we need that we tend to chase fruit and vegetables for. And they're compacted, they're condensed into these organs from the animal that's been eating plant food for 12 hours a day for the last for its whole life.
Maybe the right question would be, why wouldn't you eat them? Because once you are over their texture, I agree that sometimes their texture can be a little bit challenging, Yeah. But I try to eat all, like really nose to tail. I also like the hard cuts of meat as well. I do using the pressure cooker. So because you get different nutrients as well. You get more collagen, more glycine, so this is very good for you to balance.
The hard cuts, is that what you said?
Hard cuts.
Like, give us an example of.
Maybe oxtail.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the other.
Tongue, you mentioned tongue or before. Tongue you slow cook that as well?
Yeah.
Slow cook. Okay.
But then it's like super soft, it's so you can eat mostly with your hand then. Because
I've heard it's the most tender. A lot of people say it's very good. And
and I do bone broth with oxtail as well. It's really yummy because the meat also gets super soft, and you can even chew some of the bone parts,
Right, they dissolve collagen.
Yeah, it's quite soft, not super soft, but of course you have to chew it. But then you can also get some calcium.
Right,
calcium from.
Oh, and calcium. Okay. Yeah.
And magnesium as well from the bone.
Yeah, mineral rich. Right. Something we're all missing. We're all chasing calcium and magnesium from our diet. Most of us have to supplement because it's just not so readily available. It's because we're missing these foods that we used to make broths with. Traditionally, the feet, like you mentioned, the chicken feet, pig's feet, oxtail, very collagen rich, cartilage rich parts that would just cook into soup, essentially. and used to provide us with those minerals. And now it's not part of our, especially in the US, it's so not part of our routine. It's not part of our diet. Normally you got to order these things or really hunt for them. And there's just a few weirdos like us who who realize this and still look for it and make it part of their diet for that reason, to get that, like you said, nose to tail nutrition from the animal, rather than just going after the typical meat, getting much more nutrients out of it. That's amazing. That's awesome that you've.
Yeah, and I think, like, I agree that organs can be harder to incorporate in the diet, but the supplements can help a lot with that. But bone broth is super easy, because they don't have this strong taste or anything. It's quite mild in my opinion. So you can add them to another meat that you are cooking or some soup that you are preparing. Really anything. You can add bone broth there, so it's an easy way that you incorporate. But I like to drink it as a beverage, like really a tea. But yeah, I usually drink them at night. But I put a little bit of salt, sometimes a little bit of vinegar, or nothing. Maybe if it's already salty enough, then I don't add anything. I think it's super easy. To me, it's really delicious. The taste is really delicious.
Yes. Savory. Yeah. It's like a good scoop. But like I said, you could drink it. You're getting these nutrients delivered right in your body and easy to digest. So it wouldn't throw off your sleep if you had it later. Yeah. Because you're not trying to digest a heavy meal, but you're getting a lot of very nutrient dense beverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Far better than juicing a fruit or something like that. Yeah. No sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. And the glycine helps with sleep as well. The glycine on the bone broth. Yeah. So I really like it. And when I do this longer fast, I like to have like half a cup or 1 cup of bone broth a day. Okay. Because my main goal when I fast longer is really healing. And then if I add a little bit of collagen or I don't
minerals,
really care, because they're helping healing more the gut, and things like that.
The repair process, right?
And it's really like a comfy moment. So you drink it. Since I don't drink coffee as well, because I react to coffee as well, and many teas have high nickel, so I also goes low on the tea because I'm not sure which one are lowest or highest in nickel. So bone broth is really my beverage.
Gotcha. Like well, you're much better off for it.
Yeah.
And you're making it yourself, huh?
Yeah, I always do it. It's easy because then I already cook some meat. So I have the meat and the bone broth. I have everything done at once, because I'm very minimalist. It's a good thing, because I have to basically cook everything I eat. So I try to multitask when I do my things.
Gotcha.
It's very handy.
It's very simple. And
super. Yeah. And salt. So meat, salt, and a few fruits. That's it.
Salt, why not? I mean, yeah, that's good for us too. Awesome. So do you think you'll go if Paul's already talking about another Costa Rica trip? Do you think you're going to go back?
I think I probably will go.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Yes, I very much want to. The only thing that's usually standing in my way is COVID requirements for a vaccine, something like that. If there's a vaccine requirement on travel, which government, it's very political. It's very government fighting over who gets to control, who gets to go here or there, or do what with a vaccine based on the vaccine, which I don't plan on getting and haven't gotten. But I think it's Costa Rica's fun. The surfing's fun. The waterfalls were fun. The food was great. It's a beautiful environment, but it was the people and the community and come together with like-mindedness and just sharing like we're doing here, sharing ideas, sharing experiences. and what we found works for certain things for us. And I mean, I got to do that with a lot of people about sleep, about, just seeing how other people are eating, and the organs they're eating and what sources, and just engaging with people who are like-minded and have not all the same, because we're all doing something a little different. There's that, we have our own nuance or find what works for us, but the same foundation of knowing what creates optimal health with the animal-based diet and where those nutrients are supposed to come from, and that saturated fat isn't dangerous, So being in that kind of environment with those people, that community, that really just felt, it was refreshing. It was like encouraging. And I came back more inspired to like dig in and do things and keep going. It was like as active as we were physically, but it was mentally refreshing because it just infused, I think, some creativity and inspiration,
Yeah, it's very well said. I totally agree with that. I think the community was by far the best part.
Yeah.
Interacting with people and having these really informal moments where you can share your experiences and hear about others' experiences and their healing roots, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
These were really amazing. So I consider that I made some really good friends during that period,
Yes, I did too.
Really amazing, yeah.
And I have to thank you again, because right before I left, Ryan, another guy I was there with, and I were leaving at the same time. We had ordered a driver, was not showing up, didn't know where he was. It was 45 minutes late. We're going to get to this little airport to flight to catch our main flight at San Jose. And we're like trying to find, how do we get a driver? Like, I messaged somebody who wasn't going to be there in time. And then Daiane comes out, just walks out and to where we are staying in the parking lot, and realizes what's going on. And she had this card from a taxi driver who had helped her, calls him up. He didn't speak English too well. She's speaking Spanish for us. She speaks Portuguese, obviously, Portuguese, from Brazil, but it's like she's speaking fluent Spanish to the guy, and he's there in 10 minutes and gets us to the airport on time. I mean, like, they were getting ready to board the plane when we pulled up, and we were told, the guy, we knew the other people on the plane. We told him, tell them not to leave. Tell them we're on our way. We're going to be there. So thank you for just appearing like our travel angel and making sure we had a ride to the airport, because we were, two Americano. Well, he's British, but we're trying to get home. Where if you miss a flight, you're just out of luck. To get another little flight out. So you saved us. You helped us get out of that situation. We were panicking, not sure what to do. So thank you. You really helped us out. But that was part of the community. It's like we were in a little area where
it was really nice, that it was such a coincidence. But I was really glad that the taxi didn't show up and you caught the flight, because I was worried. So I was like, oh my God, I hope they will make it.
Yeah, we did. Thank you. Because of your taxi driver, because he got there, and it's a 45-minute drive. We were just panicked.
Yeah, it was so sweet of the driver that he was like, oh, did you call Alex? So the name of the taxi driver was Alex. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I realized, oh, he's checking if he's carrying the right person, the right people to the airport, because anyone could catch our taxi,
That's true. That happens there too, quite a bit, actually. So you helped us out. We had run out of time, and you came just walked out into the parking lot and saved us. So Ryan and I both thank you for that, but we were sweating. But I mean, yeah, I hope you do come back. I'm planning to go back. I know he's doing in March. So, and he'll probably have more. He might have more than one in a year, but anyone who's, doing meat, participating in some sort of animal-based diet, carnivore diet, any kind of variation of that, or just curious, I think it's a great environment to just come and not be, no one's trying to change you, but you're not going to be ostracized if you're a little different or just trying to figure things out. It's a great place to engage and learn and plug into people who are living this way and who have a good reason for it, have experiences like yours to share that might help you with something something that you're going through, something you're struggling with. So I think that's the real benefit of that, of us getting together in person, not just online, but to get together in person and really engage with each other. I don't think we can replace that. When you're face to face, you're doing things together, you're engaging in person, there's just a much stronger connection, and it's much more meaningful,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It was really memorable. I think it's
Mhm.
like sometimes you think back and go, wow, it was such an amazing period, really, really amazing days
Really
to
was.
get this much contact with good-hearted people.
Right.
Like everybody was really well-meaning, I would say.
Yes.
It was really, I mean, there was no one that I could think back and think, oh, I think that person was mean. No, everybody was nice
Right.
and sweet and
Yeah.
generous in their own way
Right.
and willing to interact and to share.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
super,
there was no
super nice.
drama. It was very like thrown together. We kind of moving here. Okay, we're all going here. Let's figure this out. And 90 people moving around this little town with terrible roads. Let's face it.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was no drama. There was no complaining. There was none of that. It was all working together. Let's make this happen. We're having a good time the whole way. An incredible time. So if I was considering it, get on Paul's email list, find out about it, check it out. It's an incredible group of people and incredible experience. I totally recommend it. But Daiane, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I look forward to seeing you at another one of Paul's events, hopefully. I appreciate. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate your story, relate to some level of it, and hopefully take encouragement to step forward into what you did to heal yourself, essentially, to get out of your body's way and let it heal.
Yeah. As you mentioned, it's absolutely worth it to really say no to some of these more aggressive foods and even natural foods, because nightshades, well, they are natural foods, but it's still they might not be doing any good, to some people with more autoimmune issues, for example. So
Right.
I am happy that I don't include those stuff in my diet, so I can be the best version of myself.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're a walking proof of it. So
Yeah.
thank you again. I'll let you know when this comes out. Oh, how do people find you on Instagram? It's Dr. Placido Torres, correct?
Yeah.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned you're on ResearchGate. Is that true?
Yeah, that's my entire name. This is one of the places where you can find scientists. So ResearchGate is,
okay.
I think, a very friendly one.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've used that myself for research and for papers on dietary stuff, of course. But I'll include that link in the show notes along with your link to your Instagram, and so you may get some new followers. People asking you questions about your diet, just to warn you.
Perfect. Yeah, as a scientist, we really love to discuss stuff.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks again. Have a great weekend.
You too.